So this is a video where I'm going to show you a quick rundown of this fun app I made. Basically, it takes an Instagram handle and then does some analysis in air quotes. Basically, it creates like a funny, it roasts your profile, it makes fun of it, and it kind of creates like an horoscope, like an astrology one. So a lot of people like this. So I've got a couple thousand people signed up in the last sort of week, 10 days. So for example, here's a profile analysis for Taylor Swift. So it gives like a, brief sort of summary of their profile. And then this is like the funny bit. It roasts their profile kind of very sarcastically. And it's using AI, an LLM to do that. And then it has all this other stuff, which is sort of very horoscopy. So anyway, I wanted to show it to you. So let's do a quick demo. So here I've got a DHH, our very own DHH is driving Instagram. So I'm going to stick that in so that you can see the app in action. So you enter it and then it goes and it uses something called Appify, which is a website where you can run different APIs and basically scrapes their Instagram profile. So it's not using Instagram OAuth to actually officially get the data. I couldn't get approval. So anyway, so I'm just using some scraping API. So it's a bit slow. So it takes, half a minute, maybe 30 to 40 seconds to scrape an API. And then it takes that. And so, okay, so it's done that bit now. So it's got, now it's sending that scrape data to OpenAI and telling it to generate that analysis. So that should hopefully be done. Okay, there we go. 28-year-old male. He wishes he's not 28 anymore. Okay, Fast and Furious. For anyway, so so it just generated that, and then you can click on this to share on social media and stuff. So that's that's a quick run of how the app actually looks for a user. Now let me switch to my code editor to show you how it actually works. So on the home page, so when you enter a username, that's sort of, that's the first thing I'm going to show you. So, but let me open the profile controller to show you. So, okay, so on the home page, we have that form, right? And that, so there we are sort of initializing a new profile. I have two sets of active records here. So there's the featured profiles and the newest profiles. So featured is the sort of popular ones up here, and then these are just all the new ones that get created. And then when someone submits this form, it basically sends them to, it submits to this show, it submits to the create action, right? Because it's just a create profile form. And then what it does is it finds, or it does profile.find or initialize by, because if the profile has already been run, you don't want to create that again. It just creates it the first time, and then you can just show the existing profile. So it does that. It does some checks because there's restrictions on what a username can contain. And then if it's able to save the profile, then it redirects to the show path. And here, so this is where it checks that it finds or initializes the profile, and then it checks if the profile already has an analysis or is currently analyzing, so if someone already requested, so you don't want to repeat that. And if both of those are not, if the analysis hasn't been done and is not currently happening, then it queues up a background job called fetch profile data job, which is what does all the stuff that I said. And then it updates the profile with the job ID for that job. So now let me show you quickly this profile data job. I should add here, you might notice that this code is not very pretty. There's lots of puts and log statements because I literally built this in a few hours, using a bit of AI help as well. So this is just a quick and dirty app, just something I just wanted to play with an AI API, and I built for fun. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. This is not the code to look at for high quality, code quality. So this is just a fun thing I built. Okay, so here in the fetch profile data job, so you start by, so you have a username, you get the profile, And then I'm using Turbo Streams here to basically broadcast when you go to the page. Before, when it's running, it shows that GIF of Mr. Burns. When it just wants to show a status message, basically, that is acquiring the data. And then it calls this method, profile, get Instagram profile data. And that is a method here. So here, yeah, there's again lots of like if statements. I'm using environment variables to kind of switch between different sources of data. So in this case, I tried getting data from Google search directly. It's very fast, but it's very, very unreliable. It often gives me just some completely unrelated data to the actual profile I'm searching. So that's why I am sticking to Apify, which is the slow one. But basically, it takes the URL and I have my own sort of there's a scraper that it provides, and then I use my Apify token, and basically it's a simple API call. Here I'm using NetHTTP. I'm generally been using HTTP, the gem. I prefer that. But anyway, I just started writing this. I didn't bother to change it. So this runs, and then it returns the response body, and so which is stored here. And then I do some checks to make sure, because sometimes that fails or returns some junk data or just return nil. So I check that that's not the case. If that is the case, then I'll just throw an error, show an error message to the user saying, sorry, couldn't find that profile. And I update that target div on the page using Turbo Streams. If you got the Instagram data, then I update saying, okay, I've got your Insta profile. It's interesting. Let me analyze it. Okay. And then again, send another update message. And then I want to take that Instagram data and actually analyze it with some AI. So again, here I'm using N variables, one called Instagram Analyzer, so that I can quickly switch between providers. Because as I started building this, I initially used this app called WordWare, which is kind of like a no-code builder for AI apps. So in the background, it can use lots of different AI APIs. It was using Anthropic Claude, but I think I ran out of the free credits or something. So excuse me. So then I switched to using Anthropic directly, and then I got rate limited. So then finally I switched to OpenAI's GPT-4o Mini, which is a very quick and cheap model, but it's good enough for a fun app. Okay, so then I call this method. So let's have a look at that, which basically, just makes a post request to this endpoint on their API. You put your API key into the header, and so the key thing here is the sys prompt. This is what tells OpenAI or GPT what I want it to do, and I'll show that to you in a second. And then, so that's the system prompt, and then there's the user prompt. The user prompt is just the data that I wanted to analyze, and that's the Instagram data that we got from the scraper earlier. So let's look at the sys prompt. Basically, it's this. It's just this huge prompt, basically, which tells the AI you are an astrologer, your job is to read this data, blah, 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 and then answer all these questions. Give what's their name, what's the one-line description, strengths, weaknesses, roast them. And then, you have to kind of do some kind of hack to make sure it gives you valid JSON. And, you say all this. And then at the end, I provide a list of the keys of the JSON that I want to use to display my analysis, basically. So let me jump back to, So, and actually, so there I ran into some issues. Sometimes it would send me like slightly malformed JSON. So sometimes the JSON would have an extra trailing comma or something like that. So then I would run into a JSON parse error. So I started using this response format type JSON object. This is a new thing OpenAI introduced, which is called structured outputs. So it forces the AI to always give a structured JSON output. And so it's working fine. This is the problem with LLMs. They're not exactly deterministic. So sometimes the output can be a bit off. So I get this response from OpenAI, and then I update the record with like just the response, the raw response body and the last fetch. I do this because what happened was sometimes I would get the response and then it had some slight error, and I would not save the record. And then if I wanted to fix it, I would have to remake that API call again. So and it costs every time you make an API call. So basically, I save the raw response, and only then I go in and kind of parse out the actual bit of the response that I want. So it's like a hash, and then I kind of dig in and then parse that content, and then finally again update the record with the analysis. And then I set the job ID to nil, because this is my kind of hack for checking whether it is currently analyzing, and then set the error to whether nil or whatever. So I think there is a method. Yeah, is analyzing is job ID present and error blank. So if there's no error and there is a job ID present, that means there's a job running. Now, this is not foolproof, because sometimes a job gets stuck, or just eventually have to kill it, and then it leaves a redundant job ID. So sometimes I have to manually clean it. Again, these are the kinds of things that if I were doing this properly, or if I had more time, I would clean up and do it more thoroughly. But anyway, so that returns this analysis back to this. And then if it checks, oh, is it present? If it is, then it'll basically render all of this, which is just a simple HTML template I can show you. And if it didn't work, then it shows an error. So I can show you, for example, people have been also trying all sorts of crazy usernames and things. So about is not a real Instagram handle, so it'll say, sorry, couldn't analyze. And it's the same with, if you have a private Instagram profile, I can't really scrape it. Sometimes it kind of gives me something just based on their username or something. Most of the time it fails because it can't actually get any information. So let me just show you the profile. Yeah, so this is basically this profile data. This is what we were updating with the Turbo broadcast, right? So broadcast replaced to, so that's what's getting replaced. So this was a cool thing. I before I built this, I did not know that you can issue Turbo sort of stream updates from inside a job. So that was cool. Yeah, and this is just like a hard-coded GIF that I show. And this is where the profile data lives. Sorry. This is one. Yeah, and this is sort of the HTML layout, and it shows all this. Yeah, there's lots of, this is very simple markup. It kind of, some of it just kind of loops through some of the response that it gives. But yeah, that's it. I think the last thing I can show you is I have an admin panel, and this is using, what is it using? Administrate, I think. Let me check. Yeah, Administrate. I'm not that used to it. I've used ActiveAdmin a lot in the past, but it's kind of can be quite slow. So anyway, this is what I'm using. So here, if I go in here, I can, there's a few things I can do here. So, I had added like a paywall, so you have to pay $1. So I can show you on some of the previous, oh, actually, if I pick any, yeah, so it shows this unlock full analysis for $1. So basically, there's a flag on the thing. Let me see. I can even go to profile admin from here. Yeah. So here it says unlocked false, right? So if I unlock it, it just calls a background job, which unlocks it. Oh, hang on, but it doesn't have the full analysis. I need to make sure. I think this is going to throw an error now. If I go there, yeah, it's going to throw an error because it doesn't have the data necessary for the full. So let me see. So when I clicked on this, it basically started a background job to, okay, there now. So now if I refresh, okay, so now it removed that unlock for $1 button, and it's just done all the analysis. Yeah, and then here, I also link to their direct Instagram, so I can click if I need to check something. I can edit the profile. For example, if I want to feature them like in the top famous things or whatever, sometimes, like I said, there's like a stale job ID in there. If I have to clear it manually, I do that here. Yeah, I think that's basically it. And also this gives me a quick look at, it tells me how many people have used it, when was the last one created. So I get a sense of what's happening. And like yesterday, a day before, someone famous or someone with a big audience shared it on their newsletter. So I suddenly started getting like hundreds of users, and I was thinking, like, what's happening? Like, but having this dashboard was good for me to keep an eye on, how things are going. I'm using Sidekick for the background job, so there's also a Sidekick. I can show you. So yeah, so basically, there's lots of processed and failed and dead jobs. Right now, there isn't anyone requesting it. But anyway, yeah, that's a Roastagram. Give it a go if you've got an Instagram profile. Now, yeah, like I've removed the $1 thing, so you can just use it and get the whole analysis for free. But yeah, I thought it'll be good to show you just a Rails app I made for fun, which uses AI in the background to do something funny, and just give you a sense of what it's like to build a real app, super quick.